First autopilot video in the new Tesla Model Y performance that I got. What's up guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another video. In today's video, I think we're in like the Woodland Hills area. It's rush hour traffic, Los Angeles. We're gonna see how autopilot does, not full self-driving, in today's video in Los Angeles traffic at 4 p.m. or 4:30 p.m. on a Thursday. So welcome back to the channel and thanks for watching another video, and let's get into it. All right, so I just put on the camera mount, so hopefully this is a good angle for you guys so you can see. And I wonder if you'll notice if the vibrations are a little bit different from the Model 3 to the Model Y, to see if the suspension is just a little bit better on the Model Y. Hopefully there won't be too much camera rattle and it will be a smooth, and the footage will be smooth and the ride will be smooth as well. Thanks for watching another video guys. If you're new here, I have a Tesla Model Y that I just got. I used to have a Tesla Model 3 Performance that I sold pretty recently. So there was a ton of videos on that experience, on my ownership experience on that on the channel. So if you're interested in Tesla Model Y videos, please hit that subscribe. So we're going about 40 miles an hour. The cruise control speed setting is set to 63. There's definitely a little bit of traffic in the Woodland Hills area right now. We are headed to a restaurant in the West Hollywood, no, not the West Hollywood, in the Thai Town area, Silver Lake area. Gonna pick up some food on our way back from a meeting in Thousand Oaks. So it's definitely rush hour traffic right now. I probably need to get into the right lanes because they seem to be going a little bit quicker than the two left lanes. I think up there it splits a little bit. So I'm gonna probably throw it out of autopilot and throw it back into autopilot because I don't have full self-driving anymore. And so I don't have the auto lane change that I've definitely gotten a little bit used to. So that's the one thing I've noticed with having just autopilot, that you have to throw it out of autopilot, make the lane change yourself, and then throw it back into autopilot, which it's not that bad, and it's certainly not worth, an auto lane change certainly isn't worth $10,000 for, but that's probably one of the most used functions of full self-driving in my old Tesla Model 3 that I used almost all the time. So a little bit of braking right here. The car's in front of us, it's braked a little bit, but now we're increasing speed up to 49 miles an hour. There's a motorcycle coming up on our left there. You can see it on the visualization screen. I probably should get into the right lane, but there's a car right here, so I'm probably just gonna stay in this lane and pace these cars in front of us. Just the nag timer just came on, so I hit the scroll wheel, which I really like how the new Model Y scroll wheels are metal. It has more of a, certainly a solid, more solid feel to the car. I'm gonna throw it out of autopilot now, get into the left to the right lane, slowing down a little bit. It's not an autopilot. I should get into the right lane again, but not just yet. I'm gonna throw on my right ticker, increase the speed a little bit, and then throw it back into autopilot. This truck is braking in front of us a little bit, so we are slowing down to 40 miles an hour. A little bit more braking, down to 20, and then 15 miles an hour. Just pacing this truck in front of us. Of course, now the left lanes are going a little bit faster, but we're just going to stay into this lane. In terms of what version this is version 10.2, 2021.4.15.1. This is a 2021 Tesla Model Y Performance without the full self-driving. So this is just normal autopilot in its current state at the time of this recording. Going about 30 miles an hour. Looks like there's traffic on our left and right hand side. There's a van coming into our lane up there. We're just pacing this car in front of us, increasing speed now to 40 miles an hour. Tesla feels a little bit hesitant, accelerating and then braking. The nag timer just went off, so I just hit the scroll wheel and appeased it. Going about 40 miles an hour, pacing this car in front of us. Increasing speed to about 55 miles an hour, just staying in this lane. Seems to be flowing pretty nicely, but the left lane seems to be a little bit quicker, so I might throw it out of autopilot just to increase into that lane. The one thing that the full self-driving system that I've also noticed right off the bat is it would always recommend lane changes because I had it on the setting where I would have to give it the confirmation to make the lane changes. So now Autopilot just stays in this lane pretty much indefinitely, just going straight, not making any lane changes whatsoever or recommendations for lane changes, nor is it trying to get off at any of the exits. Increasing speed to about 65 miles an hour now. Cruise control speed setting is set to about 70. We're pacing these cars in front of us. Pretty good gap. I do have the gap or the autopilot gap setting to 1 so that it can be as close as possible. I do need to get into the left lane to get into the 101 South Highway interchange. So I'm probably going to have to throw it out of autopilot pretty shortly just so I can make the lane change. Okay, just throw it out of autopilot, going to make the lane change manually, and then throw it back into autopilot. Increasing speed back, or cruise control speed setting back up to 70. We're going 55 miles an hour, just pacing this car in front of us. No braking whatsoever, just increasing speed and holding speed, following this car in front of us. Slight left turn right here, or highway left hanging to the left. Autopilot is kind of swaying in the lanes a little bit there. It kind of went to the right side of the lane and then sharply turned in and then floated to the left side of the lane and then back to the center a little bit. A little bit of bumpy ride as we pass over these bridges as well, but going about 62 miles an hour right now, just pacing these cars in front of us. No braking, pretty smooth so far, and no glitches with the autopilot system yet. A little bit of braking here, a little bit of late braking, I would say. It's getting pretty close to this car. Now a little bit of heavy braking right there. These cars are basically slowing down to about 10, 13 miles an hour. A little bit of braking some more. Tesla's trying to figure out how much of a gap we can close with this car in front of us. Going about 15 miles an hour. It looks like the left lane is going a little bit faster. So I imagine if this Tesla had full self-driving, it would try and recommend to go into that lane. But we're just staying in this lane right now, pacing this car in front of us. The car just braked a little bit. We increased speed to about 25 miles an hour, and now we're just pacing at 25 miles an hour. Increasing speed a little bit to 30 miles an hour. Tesla's increasing speed a little bit right there, pretty sharply. And now just holding at 32 miles an hour. The car in front of us just braked. Tesla just eased on the brakes a little bit, pretty smooth actually, so not too much of a late brake, and reduced speed from 30 down to 24 miles an hour. Cars in front of us braking again, and now we are braking down to 10 miles an hour. Pretty smooth on the first one, but that second one was a little bit sharper, a little bit more aggressive in the braking. Looks like the left lane is going a little bit faster, so I just threw it out of autopilot, made the left lane change, and now I'm throwing it back onto autopilot again. Cruise control speed setting is set to 34, but we are going a little bit slower at 29 miles an hour. Just pacing this truck in front of us. The truck is now braking. Tesla braked a little bit down to 20 miles an hour, but now it's just pacing at 20 miles an hour. Looks like the traffic is starting to pick up, so I'm going to increase the cruise control speed settings up to 75. Tesla is slowly starting to close this gap in front of us. The cars to the left and right are also going pretty slow, so that's why Tesla hasn't really gotten the accelerator just yet. But slowly closing it, increasing speed up to 53 miles per hour, now 55 miles per hour, but it's just pacing this car in front of us as well. A little bit of heavy braking from Tesla. It looks like the truck braked in front of us, and then Tesla reacted by braking down to 24 miles an hour. We're just pacing these cars in front of us. I wonder if you guys can notice the wind noise, if there's really any difference, or if the audio is just a lot better now because of the Model Y's dual pane glass, and just I really feel like the Model Y is just built a lot more sturdier than the Model 3, or my Model 3 was. My Model 3 was a 2019, and this of course is a 2021, and I feel like they've made a lot of enhancements to make the car just structurally feel more solid, whether it's the doors, the windows, the buttons, everything just feels a lot more solid than my older 2019 Tesla Model 3. So hopefully you guys can hear the audio quality difference, and that it's just a lot better and there's not as much wind noise. coming through my microphone on my shirt. A little bit of braking here. The truck in front of us is starting to brake just a little bit. Tesla is slowing down to 25 miles an hour, doing it pretty slowly though. A little bit of pumping on the brakes, maybe like twice, and then it slowed down to the 20 miles an hour. It's definitely getting a lot more smoother with the new updates on the Tesla model system. And I wonder if this Model Y autopilot system is going to be more smoother just because the camera, at least this front camera right here, or actually all the cameras have a better vantage point because they're all a little bit higher than a Model 3, like the one on our right over here. And so the cameras, I wonder, just can see a little bit better because of just the height difference with the cameras. Increasing speed a little bit now to 50 miles an hour. It looks like all the traffic is on the left-hand side, so our lane should be going a little bit quicker as long as these cars don't come into our lane. Increasing speed to about 50 miles an hour. Tesla braked a little bit there because it's starting to notice that these cars are going a little bit slower, so it's afraid that one of these cars, like that car in front of us, will pop out and then it will have to brake pretty heavily. It looks like the Tesla is braking a little bit now because of the car in front of us is starting to brake. We should get into the right lane because they seem to be going a little bit faster, so I'll have to throw it out of autopilot and then back into autopilot just so we can get out of this lane. Looks like there's a gap, so I'm going to go ahead and throw it out of autopilot, make the right lane change, and then throw it back into autopilot. So definitely in a city like Los Angeles, when the traffic can be very variable, where there can be a lot of variables within the lanes on a highway, or really any highway, the autopilot or the full self-driving auto lane change actually might be beneficial just because it will help you lane change and you won't have to throw it out of autopilot all the time. But also I do remember in my old autopilot videos that it would try and recommend lane changes a lot. So it might not be, it's kind of pros and cons on whether you're lazy enough to throw it out of autopilot, or if you don't like throwing it out of autopilot just to make the lane change each and every single time. A little bit of heavy braking right here. It looks like the cars are slowing down because a lot of them are going to the left lane. I'm going to auto lane or make my lane change into the right because it looks like these cars up here keep trying to get into the left, all the way left lanes to go into that highway. So I went into the right lane, increasing speed to about 60 miles an hour and threw it back into autopilot. Now I'm going to increase speed up to 75 miles an hour and we should be pretty home free in terms of traffic wise until we enter the Hollywood area. Looks like this lane is ending right here, so I'm going to have to throw it out of autopilot pretty soon. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that because that lane is going off to an exit. I'm going to make two left changes or two left lane changes and then throw it back into autopilot. Cruise control speed setting is already set to 71, so let's just bump that up to 75. Definitely hanging on the right side of the lane there on that left turn. Got pretty close to that car, which I didn't necessarily like. I usually try and hang into the left side of the lane on turns like that, but autopilot can only react to the lane later. Looks like the left lanes are going a lot faster. They're emptier. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw it out of autopilot, and make the left lane change, and then throw it back into autopilot. Increasing speed up to 83 miles an hour now. We'll probably keep on this speed until we get to the traffic in the Hollywood area. A little bit of braking now because we have some cars in front of us going a little bit slower. A little bit of swaying in the lanes right there because the highway for some reason is going to the right, but for some reason Tesla was swaying in the lane at that point of the highway. So it looks like the left lane is going a little bit faster, so throw it out of autopilot again, increasing speed, and then throwing it back into autopilot. So definitely I'm starting to get a little bit, every single time you want to make a lane change, you got to throw it out of autopilot and throw it back into autopilot. So that does make me miss full self-driving just a little bit, but then I hopefully remind myself that full self-driving is $10,000, which is a pretty high cost for a couple features that I actually use. So hopefully when subscription actually comes out, or Tesla full self-driving subscription comes out, maybe it'll be reasonably priced in which I can justify the cost for some of the features. Alright, so there seems to be no traffic today. I must have lucked out completely. Usually there's a ton of traffic in the Hollywood area that we come up to, and it's already 4:45, so this is really interesting why there's really no traffic today. Maybe it's a holiday, but you can see there's a ton of traffic coming out of the city. But usually right here, yeah, there's usually a back up or bumper to bumper traffic. So maybe it's starting in a little bit, but we're probably going to slow down from this 75 miles an hour, this 60 miles an hour, or 70 miles an hour, down to a slow bumper to bumper crawl. I am getting off the exit soon, so I'm going to go ahead and throw it out of autopilot. But thanks for watching this video, guys. It's my first autopilot video with my new 2021 Model Y Performance. Comment down below if you have any questions on buying a Tesla or autopilot, or even, and I'm probably going to make a video on why I did not buy full self-driving this time around and my reasons why. So please subscribe if you're interested in watching that. Thanks for watching this video. Please hit that like if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.